The galaxy had been peaceful for so long that no one remembered what war felt like. The Valari Council had seen to that. They were ancient, older than most stars. They had built the order that now governed millions of worlds. Every species followed the rules. Every planet obeyed the laws. Conflict was a word found only in history files. The Valari did not rule through fear. They ruled through patience. They had waited eons for the galaxy to calm itself. They had guided. They had suggested. They had gently steered young species away from destruction. Wars faded. Borders softened. Trade flourished. The galaxy became quiet. It was peaceful. It was stable. It was, the Valari believed, perfect. Then their senses detected a new signal. It came from the edge of the galaxy, from a small yellow star that had never produced anything of interest. A blue-green planet orbited the star. Nothing special. The planet had been scanned before, millions of years ago. It had been empty then. Just water and rock and the slow crawl of simple life. But now, something had changed. The Valari observer was named Zira. She was young for her species, only a few thousand years old. She sat in a hidden orbital station, watching the blue-green planet through a screen that showed everything. There is a new species, Zira said, emerging now, on the third planet. Her supervisor, an old Valari named Terran, barely looked up. Another one. They emerge all the time. They burn brightly for a few thousand years. Then they fade or they join the order. Nothing new. Zira zoomed in. The creatures on the blue-green planet were strange. They walked on two legs. They had soft bodies and no shells. They lived in groups. They fought sometimes, but they also helped each other. They built things. Small things at first, then bigger things. They are curious, Zira said. Terran finally looked at the screen. Curiosity is dangerous. It leads to questions. Questions lead to disobedience. Should we interfere? Zira asked. Terran shook his head. The Council does not interfere with emerging species. We observe. We wait. If they survive, they will eventually join the order. If they do not, they will disappear. Either way, the galaxy remains at peace. Zira nodded. But she kept watching. The humans, as they called themselves, were strange. They did not simply accept the world around them. They asked why. Why does fire burn? Why does water flow? Why do the stars move across the sky? They had no answer, so they made up stories. Gods and monsters and heroes. Then they tested their stories. They found evidence. They changed their minds. No other species did that. Other species learned from the Valari. They were given knowledge. They accepted it. They did not ask why. Humans asked why constantly. Zira watched them discover farming, then writing, then cities. They fought wars. They made peace. They broke their peace. They made it again. They were messy and loud and full of contradictions. They are exhausting, Terran said one day. Zira did not answer. She was watching a human woman in a small room. The woman was drawing circles on a flat stone. She was trying to understand the shape of the world. She had never left her village. She had never seen a map. But she was drawing the curve of the horizon. She wants to know, Zira whispered. She wants to understand. Terran frowned. Understanding is not necessary. Obedience is necessary. But Zira was no longer listening. She was watching the humans build a telescope. Then a ship. Then a flying machine. They reached their moon. They reached their neighboring planets. They sent messages into the DAC, asking if anyone was listening. The Valari did not answer. They never answered. But Zira wanted to. Years passed. Centuries. The humans grew faster than any species Zira had ever seen. They learned to harness the energy of their own star. They built ships that could cross their solar system. They argued and fought and loved and created. They were loud and messy and full of questions. And they had no idea that they were being watched. The Council is concerned, Terran said one day. The humans are expanding too quickly. They are asking too many questions. They are breaking old patterns. What will the Council do? Zira asked. Nothing yet. But we are watching closely. Zira looked at the screen. The humans had just launched their first interstellar probe. A small ship carrying a message. A greeting. A hello. Hello, Zira whispered back. No one heard her. The probe drifted into the DAC. The Valari Council debated what to do. Some wanted to contact the humans. Some wanted to isolate them. Some wanted to destroy them before they became a threat. Terran argued for patience. They are young. They are weak. They will learn. They will join the order. They will become quiet. Zira said nothing. She watched the probe drift. She watched the humans celebrate. She watched their faces. Full of hope. Full of wonder. Full of questions. For eons, nothing had threatened the galaxy. The Velari had kept it safe. They had kept it quiet. They had kept it asleep. Then humans evolved. And Zira began to wonder if sleep was really the same as peace. Zira had watched 100 species emerge. She had seen them crawl from oceans and rise from caves. She had watched them build their first cities and launch their first ships. Every species followed the same pattern. They learned what the Velari allowed them to learn. They accepted what the Velari gave them. They never asked for more. Humans were different. It started with a child. A small human girl sitting in the dirt, looking up at the sky. Her mother called her to come inside. The girl did not move. She pointed at the blue above her head. "Why is it blue?" she asked. Her mother did not know. No one knew. The girl kept asking. She asked her father. She asked her grandmother. She asked the old woman who lived alone at the edge of the village. No one had an answer. So the girl found her own answer. She grew up. She studied light and air and the way the sun moved across the sky. She became the first human to understand why the sky was blue. Her name was forgotten by history. But her question changed everything. Zira watched from a hidden station. She had expected the humans to accept the world as it was. Every other species did. They looked at the sky and said, "It is blue because it has always been blue." They did not ask why. Humans asked why. "Why do stars burn?" Another human asked. Then another. Then 1,000. Then 1,000,000. The questions spread like fire. Humans built tools to find answers. They built telescopes to see the stars. They built microscopes to see the small. They built equations to measure the invisible. They made mistakes. Many mistakes. They thought the sun moved around the earth. They were wrong. They thought the world was flat. They were wrong. They thought they were alone in the universe. They were wrong about that too. But they learned. Every mistake taught them something. Every wrong answer brought them closer to the truth. Zira's supervisor, Terran, was worried. "They are asking too much," he said. "They are learning too fast. They will discover us." Zira shook her head. "They are not looking for us. They are looking for answers. That is all." But Terran was right to be worried. The humans were not just asking about the sky and the stars. They were asking about everything. Why must we obey? Why must we follow? Why must we accept things as they are? The questions spread to their governments, their religions, their families. Young humans questioned their elders. Elders questioned their traditions. Traditions crumbled. New ideas grew. The humans argued and fought and sometimes killed each other over their questions. It was messy. It was loud. It was chaotic. And it was beautiful. Zira could not look away. She watched a human man stand in a crowded square and declare that his people did not need a king. The crowd cheered. The king was overthrown. A new government was built. It failed. Another was built. It failed too. The humans kept trying. "Why do you keep trying?" Zira whispered to her screen. A human woman answered, though she could not hear Zira. "Because we can imagine something better. And we refuse to stop imagining." Zira sat back in her chair. No other species had ever said anything like that. Other species accepted the world. Humans imagined a new one. Terran called a meeting of the Velari observers. "The humans are dangerous," he said. "Not because they fight. They do fight, but so do others. They are dangerous because they refuse to accept. They refuse to obey. They refuse to be quiet." Another observer spoke. "They are still primitive. They cannot leave their solar system. They cannot threaten the galaxy." "They do not need to leave," Terran said. "Their questions will leave. Their ideas will spread. Other species will hear them. Other species will start asking why. And the peace we have kept for eons will shatter." The room was silent. The observers looked at each other. They had never faced a threat like this. No weapons. No armies. No fleets. Just questions. Zira raised her hand. "What do you propose?" Terran's voice was cold. "We contain them. We block their signals. We prevent them from reaching other stars. We keep them on their planet until they learn to be quiet." Zira felt something strange in her chest. She had never disagreed with her supervisor before. But she disagreed now. "You cannot contain a question," she said. "You cannot block an idea. You cannot prevent a species from wondering. The humans will keep asking. They will keep learning. They will keep growing. And one day, they will look up and see us. Not because we let them, Because they never stopped looking. Torin stared at her. You sound like you admire them. Zira looked at the screen. The humans were launching another ship. A small one. Fragile. Full of hope. They were reaching for the stars. I admire their questions, she said. I admire their refusal to accept silence. I admire their hunger for understanding. The galaxy has been safe for eons. But it has also been asleep. The humans are not dangerous. They are awake. The meeting ended without a decision. The observers returned to their stations. Torin went to report to the council. Zira went back to watching. On the screen, the human ship drifted toward the edge of its solar system. A woman on board looked out the window at the stars. She was smiling. Why? Zira whispered. The woman did not answer. But Zira imagined she heard something. A whisper across the void. A question. Why not? Zira smiled. For the first time in thousands of years, she smiled. The galaxy had been safe for eons. But safe, she realized, was not the same as alive. And the humans were very, very alive. The humans left their solar system on a ship called the Hope. It was small and slow and held together with dreams. But it worked. It carried 5 humans across the DAC between stars. They were not looking for war. They were not looking for conquest. They were looking for answers. Zira watched from a hidden station. She had watched them build the Hope. She had watched them argue about where to go. She had watched them say goodbye to their families. Now she watched them drift toward a star system that held a small trading outpost. The outpost was run by the Thalen, a peaceful species that had followed Valari rules for 1,000,000 years. The Hope arrived at the outpost. The Thalen were confused. They had never seen a human before. They had never heard of Earth. They did not know what to do. The humans did not wait for permission. They opened a channel. A woman named Dr. Aries Thorne appeared on the Thalen screens. She was smiling. Hello, she said. We are humans. We come from a small planet called Earth. We have traveled very far to meet you. We brought gifts. Food. Music. Stories. Would you like to trade? The Thalen did not know how to respond. The Valari rules said that new species should be observed, not contacted. New species should be guided, not greeted. New species should be afraid. The humans were not afraid. The Thalen leader, an old being named Seravex, agreed to meet. She expected the humans to be nervous, to be careful, to follow protocol. Instead, the humans asked questions. Why do you trade only with certain species? Why are there borders between stars? Why do you follow rules that no one remembers making? Seravex did not have answers. No one had ever asked those questions. The rules were the rules. They had always been the rules. That is not a reason, Dr. Aries said. Always is not a reason. Because is not a reason. We need real reasons. The Thalen had no real reasons. The humans helped them find some. They rewrote the trade agreements. They opened new routes. They introduced the Thalen to 3 other species that had been separated by old laws no one could explain. The galaxy began to change. The Valari Council panicked. They had kept peace for eons by preventing change. Change was dangerous. Change led to conflict. Conflict led to war. War led to destruction. Torin, Zira's supervisor, addressed the council. The humans are breaking every rule. Not with violence. With questions. They are asking why. They are asking why not. They are asking what if. And other species are listening. The council leader, an ancient Valari named Mora, spoke. Can we stop them? Torin hesitated. We can try. But the humans are not attacking anyone. They are not breaking laws. They are simply talking, asking, suggesting. We cannot punish a species for talking. Mora was silent for a long time. Then she said, we have kept the galaxy safe for eons. We have prevented war. We have prevented chaos. We have done our duty. But the humans are doing something we never expected. They are making the galaxy alive again. Torin frowned. Alive is not safe. No, Mora said. But perhaps safe is not enough. Zira watched from the back of the room. She said nothing, but she was smiling. The humans kept traveling. They visited more outposts, more planets, more species. Everywhere they went, they asked questions. They broke old rules. They made new friends. They made mistakes too. They offended some species. They angered others. They started arguments that lasted for months. But they also started conversations. Species that had not spoken in 1,000,000 years began to talk. Trade routes that had been closed for centuries reopened. Alliances formed between former strangers. The galaxy was waking up. Zira received a message from Dr. Ares. The human woman had somehow found Zira's hidden frequency. The message was short. I know you are watching. I know you have been watching for a long time. Thank you for not stopping us. Thank you for letting us ask questions. Thank you for letting us grow. We are not your enemies. We are your children. And children are supposed to ask why. Zira read the message 3 times. Then she deleted it. She was not supposed to have contact with humans. She was not supposed to interfere. But she sent a reply anyway. 1 word. Hello. The Hope continued its journey. The galaxy continued to change. The Velari Council continued to debate. Some wanted to stop the humans. Some wanted to join them. Some wanted to wait and see. Terran came to Zira's station. You have been watching the humans longer than anyone. What do you think? Are they a threat? Zira looked at the screen. The Hope was approaching a new star system. The humans on board were laughing. They were singing. They were alive. They are not a threat, Zira said. They are a beginning. The galaxy has been safe for eons. But safe is not the same as alive. The humans are not breaking the galaxy. They are waking it up. Terran stared at her. Then he nodded. He did not agree. But he understood. The Hope sailed on. The galaxy stirred. And somewhere, in the dark between stars, the Velari Council made a decision that would change everything. They chose to watch. Not to stop. Not to interfere. Just to watch. And the humans, as always, kept asking why. The Velari Council met in the Great Hall. It was a vast, circular room with seats for 1,000 members. Most of the seats were empty. The council had not needed a full meeting in millions of years. There had been no emergencies. No debates. No disagreements. The galaxy ran itself. But today, the hall was full. Mora, the council leader, stood at the center. Her voice was soft but carried to every corner. We have gathered to discuss the humans. They have broken our rules. They have disrupted our order. They have awakened species that were content to sleep. We must decide what to do. The council members murmured. Some were angry. Some were frightened. Some were curious. Terran stepped forward. He was old and respected. His voice was cold. The humans are a threat. They ask too many questions. They refuse to obey. They spread their chaos to other species. We must contain them. Isolate Earth. Prevent them from leaving their solar system. Restore the old order. Many council members nodded. Containment made sense. The Velari had contained dangerous species before. It was a simple solution. Clean. Safe. Then Zira stood up. She was young. Few council members knew her name. But she had watched the humans longer than anyone. She had seen their first questions. Their first ships. Their first steps into the dark. I speak against containment, Zira said. The room went silent. No one had spoken against Terran in thousands of years. Terran turned to her. His eyes were cold. Explain yourself. Zira walked to the center of the hall. She looked at the council members. 1,000 ancient faces. 1,000 ancient minds. They had not changed in eons. They had not grown. They had not asked why. The humans are not a threat, Zira said. They are a gift. Their questions are not dangerous. They are the only thing that has ever made the galaxy grow. A council member spoke. Grow? The galaxy does not need to grow. It needs to be stable. Peaceful. Orderly. Stable is not the same as alive, Zira said. For eons, we have kept the galaxy asleep. No wars. No conflicts. No questions. But also no growth. No discovery. No wonder. The humans are not breaking the galaxy. They are waking it up. Terran stepped closer to her. You sound like you admire them. I do, Zira said. I admire their curiosity. Their courage. Their refusal to accept silence. They ask why. And when they do not get an answer, they find their own. That is not weakness. That is strength. The council murmured again. Some were nodding. Others were shaking their heads. Mora raised her hand for silence. Zira, you have watched the humans for centuries. What do they want? Conquest? Power? Revenge? Zira shook her head. They want to know. They want to understand. They want to say hello to the galaxy and hear hello back. That is all. And if we contain them? Mora asked. Then we lose everything, Zira said. We lose the chance to learn from them. We lose the chance to grow. We lose the chance to become something more than guardians of an empty, silent galaxy. The council debated for hours. Some argued for containment. Some argued for observation. Some argued for contact. Terran made the final argument for containment. The humans are young. They are reckless. They make mistakes. They will start wars. They will break things. They will ruin the peace we have kept for eons. We cannot trust them. Then Zira made her final argument. The humans will make mistakes. Yes. They will start arguments. Yes. They will break things. Yes. But they will also build things. They will also heal things. They will also create things we have never imagined. The galaxy has been safe for eons. But safe is not the same as good. The humans are not perfect. But they are alive. And alive is better than safe. The council voted. The results were close. Almost half voted for containment. But in the end, the majority voted against it. The humans would not be contained. They would not be isolated. They would not be stopped. Mora announced the decision. The humans will be observed. Not contained. Not contacted. Observed. We will watch. We will learn. And if they become a true threat, we will act. But not before. Terran left the hall without speaking. He did not look at Zira. Zira returned to her station. She looked at the screen. The hope was still traveling. The humans were still asking questions. The galaxy was still changing. She sent a message to Dr. Ares. One word. Continue. The reply came hours later. One word. Always. Zira smiled. The council had made its decision. The galaxy would not be safe. Not anymore. But perhaps, Zira thought, safe was overrated. Perhaps alive was better. The Velari Council did not contain humanity. The vote had been close, but the decision was final. The humans would not be stopped. They would not be isolated. They would be watched. But watching, Zira knew, was not enough. She went to Mora after the meeting. The old council leader sat alone in her chamber, staring at a screen that showed the stars. You want to send me, Zira said. It was not a question. Mora did not turn around. You have watched them the longest. You understand them better than anyone. If anyone can speak to them, it is you. Zira stepped closer. What do I say? Mora was silent for a long time. Then she said, ask them what they want. Ask them why they cannot be quiet. Ask them why they must keep asking questions. And then come back and tell me the answer. Zira left that same day. Her ship was small and fast. It crossed the galaxy in weeks. She did not hide. She did not use stealth. She flew openly toward Earth. The humans detected her when she entered their solar system. They sent messages, demands, questions. Who are you? Where do you come from? Why are you here? Zira answered. I am Zira. I come from the Velari Council. I have been watching you for a very long time. I come in peace. I wish to speak to your leaders. The humans were silent for a day. Then they agreed. Zira landed on Earth in a field outside a large city. Thousands of humans gathered to watch. They were not afraid. They were curious. They pointed and whispered and took pictures. Children ran toward her ship. Their parents pulled them back. A group of human leaders walked across the field. They were dressed in simple clothes. Their faces were tired but calm. At the front was a woman Zira recognized. Dr. Ares Thorne. The same woman who had sent the message. The same woman who had said hello. Welcome to Earth, Ares said. We have been waiting for you. Zira stepped out of her ship. She had never stood on a living planet before. The grass was soft. The air was warm. The sky was blue. She understood now why the humans never wanted to leave. They walked to a small building. No guards. No weapons. Just people sitting around a table. Ares poured tea. Zira did not know what tea was. She drank it anyway. It was hot and bitter and strange. She liked it. Why are you here? Ares asked. Zira set down her cup. The Velari Council sent me. We have watched your species for centuries. We have seen you grow. We have seen you ask questions. We have seen you break our rules. We do not understand you. Ares smiled. What is there to understand? Zira leaned forward. What do you want? Why do you keep asking questions? Why can you not simply accept the world as it is? Why must you always reach for more? The human leaders looked at each other. They did not seem surprised by the question. They had asked themselves the same thing many times. Ares answered first. We want to know. We want to understand. We want to explore. And we want to say hello. Zira blinked. That is all. That is everything, Ares said. Knowing is better than not knowing. Understanding is better than confusion. Exploring is better than staying still. And saying hello is better than silence. We do not want to conquer the galaxy. We do not want to rule anyone. We just want to be part of something larger than ourselves. Another leader spoke, an old man with white hair. We have made many mistakes. We will make more. We are not perfect, but we are trying. We are learning. We are growing. That is what we want. To keep learning. To keep growing. To keep saying hello. Zira sat back. She thought about the Velari Council, the ancient halls, the silent stars, the eons of peace, the eons of sleep. We were afraid of you, Zira said. We thought you would destroy the galaxy. We thought your questions would lead to war. We thought your curiosity was dangerous. Ares shook her head. Curiosity is not dangerous. Ignorance is dangerous. Silence is dangerous. Not asking questions, that is what destroys worlds. Zira stayed on Earth for 3 days. She walked through cities and forests and deserts. She met humans of every age and occupation. She listened to their stories, their hopes, their fears, their dreams. She heard a child ask why the sky was blue. She heard a scientist explain it. She heard the child ask another question, and another, and another. The questions never stopped. Zira realized that was the point. The questions were not a flaw. They were a feature. Humans asked because they cared. They asked because they wanted to understand. They asked because silence felt like death. Zira returned to the Velari Council. She stood before the 1,000 members. Mora sat at the center. Torin sat in the back, his face cold. What did they say? Mora asked. Zira looked at the council. The ancient faces. The ancient minds. They had not changed in eons. They had not grown. They had not asked why. They want to know, Zira said. They want to understand. They want to explore. And they want to say hello. The council was silent. For a long time, no one spoke. Then Mora stood up. The oldest Velari. The one who had seen empires rise and fall. The one who had kept the galaxy safe for millions of years. For eons, Mora said, nothing threatened the galaxy. Then humans evolved. We were afraid. We thought they would destroy everything we built. But we were wrong. She looked at Zira. She looked at the council. She looked at the stars through the great window. They are not a threat. They are a beginning. The council did not applaud. They did not cheer. They simply sat in silence, watching the stars. But something had changed. Something had woken up. Zira returned to her station. She looked at the screen. The humans were still asking questions. Still exploring. Still saying hello. She smiled. Then she opened a channel. Hello, she said. This is Zira. I am listening. Tell me everything. The reply came quickly. A human voice. Young. Excited. Where do we start? Zira leaned back in her chair. At the beginning. Always at the beginning. The galaxy was safe for millions of years. But it was also asleep. Humans woke it up. And now, finally, someone was awake to listen.